Hello, good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening. I am Thomas Jones, and I'd like to tell you a bit about myself and why I think I'm perfectly situated for a position as a business analyst at Puruopa Community Services District. It's sort of a long story, but I hope you'll bear with me. I uh, I started off as a programmer in junior high. I was very enamored of programming, and it was just something I had a lot of passion for. And not so much academics. My classes were so-so in junior high, but I loved programming. And then I went into high school, and then I fell in love with mathematics, and I was very dedicated to, and I was great academically because I was able to get all A's, and I was able to I was able to be co-valedictorian of my high school, and I wanted to become a mathematics professor. So I went to Harvey Mudd College, and I studied mathematics, and it's a general STEM school, so there was a lot of training in different scientific subjects. My focus was on mathematics, and but I'm not going to say how exactly, but I fell in love with philosophy as well, and so I studied philosophy and with a little bit of psychology and that, and so I was able to graduate from Harvey Mudd College with a major in mathematics, with also a major in philosophy from Pomona College. To be technical, they call it the equivalent of a major in philosophy. So, but instead of going into academics, which is the route I was taking, my stepdad, who I love dearly, he's passed now, but he recommended that I go into industry instead of academia. I took his advice, and I got a job as an actuarial assistant at a small actuarial consulting firm in San Diego County. And there I had a great introduction to data analysis. It was all about forecasting numbers for the insurance industry. We were casualty actuaries. Casualty actuarial work that has to do with auto insurance and homeowners insurance and health insurance. Mainly, it was auto forecasting, auto insurance. But I became very well acquainted with spreadsheets, spreadsheet macros, spreadsheet programming, and also a tiny bit of database work. So, unfortunately, my boss passed away. He in a untimely fashion, and he and suddenly I was without a job, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And I went back to programming. I said to myself, I love programming. I perhaps I can get a job as a programmer, and that's what happened. I got a job at JD Power and Associates, and that was a good introduction to, well, a continuation of data analysis, and it was of course a programming job, but it was in a corporate setting. It was I learned about corporations for the first time, and some of the rules that have to do with working for a corporation. And I was working with large data sets, It has to do with customer satisfaction surveys for Honda Corporation of America. And from there, I went on to a position at the National Finance Center, which is the federal government, the federal government's payroll processing department for all federal employees. And there, that was the data sets were even larger. There was more reporting. In other words, there was reporting at JD Power and Associates, of course, but at the National Finance Center, I was creating financial reports, and I was introduced to an accountant who I had the good fortune of working with to some extent, and again, it was light financial analysis, more like financial reporting. Um, but from there, I went on to um, actually, I went on to another company, of course. No, yeah, I fell in love with software development. There were software developers at JD Power and Associates, and so I was studying um, a Microsoft programming language called VB6, and that's also the same language that's used for Microsoft spreadsheets. But I was able to get my first programming job in New Orleans, Louisiana. And when I say, excuse me, I meant my software development job. Hopefully, I said that. And from there, I went to Ohio, and I continued my software development career at a medical firm that was I created interfaces for a hospital environment, and that was important to that was a continuation of learning how to make a software application user friendly. And a little bit further in my career, there was another opportunity to learn about um, user friendly software and the user experience because I was working at a company called Med Plus, excuse me, Caremore, Caremore Health Plan, and I had a very good relationship with the managers and the department heads, and so I became very accustomed to having direct meetings with departmental managers. My boss was my boss had a lot of trust in me and allowed me to make that direct connection with with the managerial, the internal customer being the department head, but also not simply the head of the department, but the users, the end users of the software. And it just so happened that my wife um, was employed at the same company, and she would give me lots and lots and lots of tips on suggestions on how to modify the software to make it very smooth, very streamlined, and very easy and friendly to use. From there, I went on to a workman's compensation company, um, and there was my first introduction to business analysis, and because I was working with the business analysts would prepare the work requirements or the software modification specifications, and so I got to see how they put together what their the documentation that they would then pass on to me as a software engineer or software developer. And so from there, I went to another healthcare company and called Alignment Healthcare. And both CareMore and Alignment were very strong regulatory environments because they are California Medicare Advantage companies. And so um, there was a strong, not simply the regulatory, but also a strong rating system, like called HEDIS. HEDIS was a way for various Medicare Advantage health plans to be compared, and and there would be the annual review of the health plan, and I was tasked with meeting with the HEDIS reviewers, and so there was a lot of um, verbal discussions about the, the the internal IT methodologies, the data methodologies, software, customer service applications, reporting, and data integrity issues. And so that was a good experience for me, obviously, to have to be speaking, to be a key component in those HEDIS reporting, HEDIS rating meetings. And I should say, I mentioned that I've been writing my most of my career has included writing, technical writing. And I looked to my stepdad, the stepdad that encouraged me to go into industry, because he was a technical writer. And along with my philosophy background and having to write numerous philosophy papers in college at a very high level, uh, it was technical writing is something that I appreciate, I enjoy. I take it very seriously, and I applied those technical writing skills whenever I would document the software I was creating, and I would work with some of the senior at CareMore. No, I'm sorry, MedPlus. I would work with the senior documentation staff, and they would request um, they requested for me to document my software because they had a full caseload. And so going forward, um, when COVID came along, I was not prepared because I should mention that I was working at a small company called Card Integrators for a number of years, approximately 7 years, um, also known as CI Solutions. But they were a small company in the security industry, and I was the sole software engineer. Um, there was another engineer, but he was strictly part time. But I was the primary person, and I developed lots of new features for the software, including and also doing the documentation as well. But um, I had a very good coworker. My manager was very she was a business analyst in a way, really, because she was very clear and detailed about how the software should behave and exactly how the user would be using the software and communicating that to me. And then she was also she had more than one hat because she was the QA specialist as well. And so she would tell me how the software should perform, and there would be this feedback loop where I would go back to her and she would tell me um, whether I was close to what her expectations were or not. And then she would like thoroughly test the software as well. But yeah, I was talking about COVID. So I was working at this small company and COVID came along, and I was just a little bit devastated because I started working for a company called Infosys Global Corporation. No, sorry, Infosys Limited, which is a global multinational corporation based in India. And I had a team because I did a little managerial work I was a team manager at Alignment Healthcare. I was promoted to team lead, team manager. And then, and so at Infosys, I had a team of offshore developers. But um, it didn't work out. I was there 4 months, and looking back, I should have stuck to my guns a little more, but I did leave that company because I was not prepared for 100% fully remote. It was 100%, which was just a night and day difference from working at a small company, CI Solutions. So the one thing that it was good for me because it was a very demanding role, and I got more experience with working in a team setting, leading a team. But ultimately, I did leave, and I took a career break, and hindsight is 2020, but I took advantage of it the best I could. I'm actually happy that it happened because I went back to school. I studied computer science, um, because if you'll recall, my major was mathematics at Harvey Mudd College. At Orange Coast College, I studied computer science, accounting, and business. And so these classes, the business and accounting classes, were a revelation for me. I truly, it opened me up to entrepreneurial work, and not necessarily entrepreneurial work, but business in general. Um, I did get a chance to do entrepreneurial work in 2004, um, this year, with a business partner named Jeffrey, and we started a small company called Duty Scooping, and I helped incorporate the company, which I'm very proud of. Um, and so now it's he and I together are co-owners of the company, and well, so to me, business analysis is the perfect next step in my career. And I would, I'm hoping that I'm not viewed as someone who doesn't have experience in business analysis because I've been, I've had this jigsaw puzzle in my career. And if you put the pieces together, to me, that's business analysis because there's the technical side and the business side and um, the software side, software development or software engineering. And if you put these together, to me, and also the technical writing and the documentation. So I think I'm perfectly prepared for business analysis at Europa Community Services District. I apologize if this was too long. It was very, I could have done it a little bit better. But thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.